Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here today to really dig into the stack of source material you shared with us. We're focusing on the new Jaeger-LeCoultre Polaris Chronograph, specifically that one with the really striking ocean gray dial.
Exactly. And our mission, well, think of us as your guides through all this info.
Okay.
We're going to pull out the key bits, the really important nuggets of knowledge, explain what makes this watch tick, what makes it stand out,
Right.
and give you a clear picture of where it fits in the whole JLC collection, all based just on what you've given us.
So this is basically your shortcut to getting, well, properly informed. We'll pull out those surprising details, give you just enough context so it all makes sense.
Sounds good.
Now, before we dive right into this new ocean gray model, let's set the scene a bit. The Polaris collection. It's actually not that old, is it? Launched in 2018.
Yeah, relatively recent. JLC, they wanted a strong sports watch range again, and they looked back to their history, specifically that 1968 Memovox Polaris dive watch for inspiration.
The one with the alarm, right?
That's the famous one, yeah, the Memovox. But the modern Polaris collection, it quickly expanded beyond just that. They added some, well, really attractive chronographs.
And the chronographs themselves got an update fairly recently.
Just 2 years ago, yeah, in 2023, they got visual tweaks, mechanical upgrades, the whole package.
Okay.
So this new ocean gray version we're looking at today, it builds directly on that updated 2023 base.
Right. Makes sense. Okay, let's start with the basics, the foundation of the case. Your sources say it's 42 millimeter.
42 millimeter stainless steel, and the thickness is noted as 13.39 millimeter.
Which isn't super thin, but maybe expected for an auto chrono.
Right. And it's got a very distinct look, sort of blending old and new. The sources talk about taut lines, sharp, and those signature curved lugs, plus a pretty thin bezel.
So it takes cues from the old Memovox shape.
It does, but the description uses words like tensed, more contemporary. It feels like a modern interpretation, not just a copy.
And the finishing sounds really nice.
Yeah.
Based on what's in the material. You got this contrast going on.
Yeah. Beautiful contrast. Polished surfaces like the bezel, the pushers, the crown, set against vertically brushed areas.
Like the main case body and the lugs.
Exactly. And it's worth noting a detail the material points out about those brush surfaces.
Yeah.
It mentions sleek, polished bevels along the edges, which really define the shape, but also that the vertical brushing is done traditionally.
What does that mean traditionally?
Well, according to the source, it results in a deeper, sort of richer texture than some quicker, more modern brushing methods might achieve. It's subtle, but speaks to the level of finishing.
Interesting detail. Okay, what about protection?
Crystal.
It has a box-shaped sapphire crystal on top.
Box shape. So it's raised slightly, gives it a bit of a vintage look.
Precisely. And then on the back, a screwed sapphire case back so you can see the movement inside.
Nice. And water resistance is a big crown.
Yeah, the large crown helps ensure it gets 100 meters of water resistance.
Okay, 100 meters.
But, and this is important, the sources are quite clear while it looks like it has dive watch roots.
This chronograph version, even with 100-meter WR, is, and I quote, surely not to be confused with the other true diving models from JLC.
Right, so it's more of an all-rounder sports watch,
Yeah.
not a dedicated diver.
Exactly that. Sporty, water-resistant, but not for serious diving.
Got it. Okay, let's move inwards then. The dial. This seems to be the main event for this particular model.
Absolutely. Visually, it's the big story. The sources say it fits right into that trend we're seeing for gradient dials, often with matte or granular finishes.
How does it compare to the 2023 gray one?
Good question. That 23 light gray had more of a smoky fume effect, and it used contrasting black registers. This new 2025 ocean gray, it's described as darker overall.
Okay.
And maybe more uniform in its color approach, a sort of deep gray-blue tone.
But the complexity comes from the textures, right? It's not just one finish.
Not at all. The sources describe quite a play of textures, the central part of the dial, that has a gradient effect and a sunray brushed finish so it catches the light.
Okay, sunray in the middle.
Then, the hour chapter ring, just outside that, it also has that same gradient, that fume effect. But here, it's applied over a grained surface.
Ah, so same color transition, different texture underneath.
Exactly. Adds another layer of visual interest. And then the tachometer scale on the outside edge and the chronograph subdials. Those are black.
Contrasting black, what finish do they have?
Either a velvety matte surface or A light snailing effect, you know, those fine concentric circles you sometimes see, subtle details.
So there's a pop of color, too.
Yes, the material mentions bright orange accents on some of the chrono hands or markers, just adds a bit of sportiness.
Okay, but here's the thing that really jumped out from the sources, and it seems to explain why the dial looks so deep. The lacquering.
This is, well, quite astonishing, actually. The sources detail the process. It's not just paint.
Right.
First, clear coat of varnish goes down, then 4 layers of the actual color.
4 layers. So
And then, get this, 30 coats of translucent lacquer are applied over that.
30. 30.
30? Yeah.
Wow.
According to your sources, that's how they build up that incredible depth and richness you see.
Wow. That seems like an enormous amount of work just for the dial. I mean, why so many? What does that actually do?
Well, the material suggests it's all about achieving that specific visual effect, that richness, that depth. It lets the light play with the layers in a way a simpler, flatter finish just wouldn't.
So it's a real indicator of high-level craft going into just one component.
Absolutely. It makes the dial almost seem liquid or enameled, even though it's lacquer. It's definitely one of those aha moments when you read about it. Really explains the visual appeal.
No kidding. 30 coats. Okay. What else on the dial? Hands, markers.
Standard stuff, well executed, open-worked hands, skeletonized and applied hour markers. And they're filled with lume, of course, for visibility when it's dark.
Right. Okay, moving on from the aesthetics.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the engine. What's in thought?
Mechanically, it's using the same updated movement that debuted in the 2023 models. That's JLC's in-house calibre 761.
Okay, caliber 761. And the layout. The source material highlighted a specific change there compared to some older Polaris chronos.
Yes, it did. This version uses what's called a bi-compax layout, basically 2 main subdials.
Right, at 3 and 9 o'clock.
Exactly. But the key point is the function of the 9 o'clock subdial. In some earlier models, that might have been a 12-hour counter for the chronograph.
Okay.
Here, on the calibre 761, it's been changed to display the running seconds for the regular time.
Ah, so the chronograph only measures up to 30 minutes on the 3 o'clock subdial.
That seems to be the implication of having the running seconds at 9, yes.
Yeah.
The source focuses on the running seconds being there instead of the 12-hour totalizer.
Interesting choice. What about the movement tech itself?
Well, the calibre 761 is described as a fully integrated automatic chronograph movement.
Integrated, meaning designed as a chrono from the ground up, not a module added on top.
Correct. And it uses a column wheel and a vertical clutch.
Okay, those are terms you often hear associated with higher-end chronographs.
They are. The column wheel generally gives a nicer, crisper feel to the pusher action when you start, stop, and reset the chronograph.
And the vertical clutch.
That helps the chronograph's seconds hands start smoothly without that little stutter or jump you sometimes see with other types of clutches. So good quality architecture.
And power reserve, how long does it run for?
It features a double barrel system,
Yeah.
which, according to the sources, gives it a solid 65-hour power reserve.
65 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good. More than 2.5 days.
Yeah, definitely practical. You can take it off Friday night, pick it up Monday morning, and it should still be ticking.
Nice. And you mentioned we can see it through the caseback. Is it nicely decorated?
Oh, yes. It's finished in the classic Jaeger-LeCoultre style. You'll see Geneva stripes, those nice wavy patterns. Blued screws, which is traditional and looks great. Carefully beveled angles on the bridges, those polished edges that catch the light.
Sounds lovely.
And an open-worked rotor, the weight that winds the watch, so you can see more of the movement underneath. It's definitely designed to be admired.
Okay, great. So powerful engine, looks good too. What about wearing it? Straps.
The sources mention it comes with 2 options in the box. You get the classic textured black rubber strap.
Right, the one that fits the case nicely.
Yeah, usually with curved ends to integrate well.
Huh.
And you also get a new blue-gray canvas strap.
Oh, canvas. That's a nice alternative. More casual, maybe?
Yeah, it gives it a different feel. And a really practical feature highlighted is the quick release system.
On the straps?
On both straps and apparently on the folding clasp, too.
Oh, that's handy. So you can swap them yourself easily. No tools.
Exactly. Makes it super easy to change the look depending on what you're doing or wearing. Just a little push button or lever.
That's a genuinely useful touch.
Okay.
Wrapping up, availability and price.
The sources confirm it's being released as part of the permanent collection, so not a limited edition.
Good to know.
And the retail price listed is 16,100 euros, and that includes taxes.
16,100 euros.
Okay. So just to recap, Based purely on the material you provided, we've really unpacked this new JLC Polaris Chronograph Ocean Gray.
Yeah.
We've looked at its roots in the 68 Memovox, the details of that 42mm steel case with its mix of finishes.
That incredible ocean gray dial, the complexity, the textures.
The multi-layered lacquer, definitely. And the solid in-house caliber 761 movement inside.
Plus the practical strap options and the price point.
It's really effective, isn't it? Just pulling these key nuggets straight from the sources, like remembering that specific 13.39mm thickness.
Or the detail about the 9 o'clock subdial now being running seconds.
That 65-hour power reserve, the quick release on both straps and the clasp.
And yeah, we have to mention it again, those 30 coats of translucent lacquer on the dial.
It really paints a picture. And it leads to maybe a final thought for you to consider, based on everything we've covered from these sources. When you look at the level of detail described, the traditional brushing on the case, those polished bevels, that almost absurdly complex dial process, the decorated in-house movement, how does blending that vintage inspiration with such high-level modern execution, what does that say about how watch design and, watchmaking expertise are evolving?
That's interesting. Like, it's not just about telling time or timing things anymore.
Right. It makes you think about all the deliberate choices, balancing the look, the history, the sheer technical craft that go into making something like this. It's more than just the sum of its parts, isn't it?